And the last game we're going to talk about on this episode is Kingsburg.
And it's designed by Andrea Chiarvesio, Luca Iennaco. The artist is Mad for Game Style. Don't know. And published was this the Fantasy Flight version? I don't know what version you had.
This is the first edition.
Oh, wait, the first edition?
I think Kingsburg second edition is Fantasy Flight, maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know who
I have it.
It's got 9 publishers.
They actually have a separate listing on Board Game Geek for second edition.
Yeah. Well, either way, we'll just talk about the game.
Sure.
I don't remember who actually published it.
Someone made it.
Somebody made it, and they published it in different places. But Kingsburg basically takes place over 5 rounds. Each round, you play through the 4 seasons. You're going to be placing dice on, like, worker placement style, kind of, on the main board in the middle of the table a couple of times throughout each year. And you also you have a player board in front of you, in which case you can buy, like, technologies and in research buildings and stuff like that. What happens is, all right, so on the board in the middle, there are, is it 2 to 16 or something? Matt, do you remember this, Eric? Is it 2 to 16 or 1 to 16, the numbers? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, 1 to king. I don't know. A jester to king. I don't know how many spaces.
No, it does up to 18. So it goes 1 to 18, right?
That makes sense.
Basically, a couple of times throughout each year, you're going to roll the 3 dice that you have, and that's going to give you numbers. You know, obviously, there's 6-sided dice, so you might have a 3, a 5, and a 7. A 3, 5, and a 2. Because there is no 7 on 6-sided dice.
Okay.
So you might have a 3, 5, and a 2, right? So on your turn, you get to place your dice. You can either choose 1 die, 2 die, or 3 die. If you do all 3 of them, what did I say, a 3, 5, and a 2, you would have a 10. So you can play all 3 of them and put them on the 10, in which you're going to get the resources that the 10 will provide you. Each of the characters each of the spaces on the board represent a character you're trying to influence, like an assassin or a king or whatever. It's not like you're sending them to a building or whatever. If you send them to the lower numbers, you only need 1 die, you know, like a 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5, or 6. But you get way less resources for doing so. Each space can only have 1 player's stuff on it. And then once everybody's placed all their stuff out, you're going to get those resources, and then you're going to play another like kind of round or whatever. And then during the seasons, you're also going to be able to spend those resources to buy your different spaces on your player board. And you just put a marker there, you spend the resources, and it will give you stuff. What you're also trying to do is you're trying to gain victory points at the end of 5 full years. Whoever has the most victory points will win. At the end of each round, at the end of each year, after all 4 seasons, you're going to have to fight a monster, basically. Everybody has to fight it. Whoever does the best gets like a benefit or whatever. And then there's a bad detriment if you don't actually have enough fight power. Or I guess it's defense or whatever. I don't know. It's a shield, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
If you don't have enough shields to prevent against it. So on the back of the card, it'll tell you need 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 or something like that. So you can gamble it, or there's a space that you can go to look at it, I believe. And then there's also some spaces that will increase your defense, things like that. So, if we come across anything else we need to explain, we'll do it while we're talking about what we like about it. But let's start with you, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I kind of have a fondness over rolling dice and worker placing with the dice placement type of game. So it is a good game for me. Let's see. I like that there's quite a bit of planning and far planning ahead. You can say, I'm going to get this building, and then I'm going to get this building, and then I'm going to do this building. So there's a lot of planning, a lot of things to do. So each game is going to be pretty different. Yeah, I ended up liking it a lot. I actually got rid of the first edition. I got the second edition now.
He told me that, and I was like, no, Eric. Matt, you remember playing this one too?
Yeah, I remember it.
What do you think?
I like the game. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Might be a little luck based. Just because you are rolling dice, and obviously if you roll higher, a higher spot is probably going to give you a little bit better thing.
Yeah, supposedly I kind of read up on that too.
I was going to comment on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, supposedly even if you roll low, because whoever rolls the lowest gets to put out their dice first, there's not a big downside on being shot out on where you can go.
Well, I wasn't necessarily talking about getting there first. I was just saying if you roll enough to get 16 and the other person's only rolling 8.
But you have to use more dice to get there.
That's what I was going to say.
Does it balance out to where you get more with 3 dice? And
almost. It gives you a slight advantage, but it's not a huge advantage.
Yeah, okay. So for instance,
So 16 gives you 4 resources, but it's going to use 3 of your dice. There's other spots. You can usually get 1 resource per dice. There's spots that you can get.
Well, let's just do 18, right? That's the highest you can roll. You're going to get a gold, a wood, a stone, and raise your defense for the battle by 1. Whereas if you spend those 3 dice and you went 1, 2, and 3, or I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 3, maybe not 1, 2, and 3, but if you did 1, 2, 3, and 5, you would get a gold, a wood, and a defense raised, and so you wouldn't get a stone. So like, I guess the thing is like rolling higher numbers and taking that really high spot just ensures that you're going to get what you wanted. But if you're going with lower numbers and trying to do multiple dice, you're going to get more competition against you because other players who didn't roll high.
Right. So, I mean, you might say you could possibly get more, but you're probably more than likely someone's going to plop on a spot before you, though.
Right.
So you're not necessarily doing quite as good as the person that rolled that high.
Right. There is a slight advantage, yes, but I don't think it's like it's not massive. Like if you always roll in 18s, you're not going to always win because you may not need those resources.
No, yeah,
either.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you need a roll, and hopefully you can get the dice to work out to what you're actually planning to do. Because you don't want to raise your defense every time. That enough's enough.
Right.
On
exactly.
your defense. So it's. I just always. It seemed like you probably got more options and safer to be able to lay your dice down.
That word right there is probably the best way to describe it. Is it's safer to roll higher because you can take, you can take one spot. You go one time, you get a lot of stuff, whereas everybody else has to go a couple of times and then possibly get locked out to where they can't spend a die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that part kind of hurts if that happens. But you're also looking at other people's dice and like, okay, he's probably going to do this, and he's probably going to do this. He needs this. So that's another element to the game where maybe that's the second element for some players where you can actually kind of play against your opponents where you guess on where they're wanting to go.
We actually played this again on Tabletop Simulator, and I did that to Eric and Jake because I was spending I might roll enough to get 17 points to go to the queen or whatever it is, but I was like, yeah, but Eric and they both need this space. Plop.
Right.
And because I knew I could spin the other die. So it's like, it's got a little bit of a layer of, trying to head people off the pass.
Right.
Even though I went, I think second at that point, or maybe third at that point, because I rolled so high. It just depends on if they saw that opportunity first or not.
Right.
I don't know. It was pretty neat.
No, and I mean, I guess that strategy plays out to maybe I gain a lot going high, but if I go a little bit lower, I gain and they lose out.
They lose out, and you get the exact things you need rather than being locked into the stuff that's on that one space. So yeah, it's pretty cool. What do y'all think about the monster battle and stuff? I feel like it's cool that it's there, but it's
usually you're gonna get through it. You're helped out by the king, so he comes in and the first player rolls the dice, and that gets added to everybody's value. I think they maybe even take that part out.
That's true. Yeah, maybe make the values a little lower, but then make it absolutes kind of deal. Because you're right, because it is a 6-sided die,
right?
And the highest thing is a 7 to 9, I think.
Yeah, I forget exactly, but yeah, it starts out pretty low, so you don't have to usually do too much defense early on. Later on, you might worry about a lower die roll. Yeah,
maybe a D6 might be too much of a randomness for that to be added to every player against the end battles and stuff, but maybe a D4 or even a D3. Yeah, that'd be really weird unless they customize the die, because typically board gamers don't want to have to divide.
Right.
But yeah, that was okay. Overall, I really like it. The more I play it, the more I feel man, I really like this game. As far as a a lighter worker placement game. I guess it's probably on that end of the scale.
No, I actually really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm not sure if I did real good, but I still had fun playing it either way. So I mean, because it is a fun. You're rolling dice, and worker placement with it is always fun. So.
Oh yeah.
And supposedly the expansion to it adds a decent amount more and makes the game that much more better.
Yeah,
and we haven't played with that yet, but it comes with the second edition. You don't have to buy it separately.
Yeah, and I was really excited when you said you got the second edition because all those expansions that come out. It's all
or
like,
just
it's
one
like
expansion,
mini
yeah.
It's many, but it's like a couple of different modules, right? Can you add and pick?
I didn't even read it yet, so
I just kind of get the idea that it's a few different modules that you can choose and leave things out and stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong because I didn't read it either. I just kind of went based off the components and stuff.
Yeah, seeing the components.
Yeah,
it might be the case, but it might add all that.
Yeah. Overall, I think that the only thing I would say is hopefully the expansions do this, but I think the combat needs to be a little bit more harder to get through.
Yeah.
That way
it is pretty hurtful if, on some of those cards if you don't get through them. So
that's true, but it's not so easy to get battle, like raising your fight power because there's so many spaces on the board to do it with. Yeah, I think it should be mentioned also that you can mitigate your dice as well with the +1 or
the +2.
That's true, right?
Yeah, you got the +2 tokens or whatever, but you also have like certain powers on your board when you build those, like I don't remember what they're called, like the market or something, where you can add +1 or -1 to a die.
Right.
Those were pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely gives you even more options. You can only use it once a season or turn.
Yeah. What did you think about all the player abilities that you can buy from all those technologies and buildings and stuff? Do you think there's like a perfect path to start and go in the right order?
I think maybe sometimes you can get stuck to thinking there is a optimal path, but usually
you still have to roll it though.
Yeah, when I see our boards, they're pretty different. So I did enjoy seeing us go to different paths and making different buildings. We all didn't, think that one set of buildings or one layout of buildings would be the best path for all of us.
That's true. I didn't look over and say, man, I'm really jealous. Except for like the market or whatever. But I think that's it's like, because you have to buy them from left to right.
Yeah.
But you can build on any row that you want. And it's like the first or second thing. So it's really easy to get. So, but that one's pretty important, I think. The one that gives you it just gives you a +2 token. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
That one's awesome.
Yeah.
That I think is, I can't imagine playing the game without it.
It was pretty nice.
Of course, it could be play style, but
right.
It was pretty nice. And then, of course, you can get like white dice. So you can have extra dice, but then they have to be accompanied by your color, at least one color dice of your color.
Right.
So they can't take a thing by itself. And
then one column is more geared on just giving you points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, victory points.
I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Yeah.
I think the more I play this, the more I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. I can see that.
Huh?
I can see that.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, final thoughts? Anything else?
No, it was good. I liked it.
I upgraded. Second edition, I liked it.
I will say this might be one of the only games that I will buy, even though you already have it.
Oh, yeah?
Because I like it that much to have it on my shelf. Even if I don't bust it out. So it's pretty good. I really enjoy this one. Anyway, that's Kingsburg.